Well, joining me now is John Stanton, Washington Bureau Chief for BuzzFeed.com. Good Friday night to you, sir. And that is the question here. With 12 days and something approaching unity on the idea that this matters, that this is urgent, that this is important, does the president get some kind of vote?
Well, the president's plan won't get a vote, but parts of it could see some action on the floor of the House, like you said, some of the money for overtime or some of the basic stuff that's going on right now on the border. There is some talk that Republicans won't actually end up voting on anything. What they may do, though, is come up with their own proposal that they would sort of put out there that would have funding, but would also have strings attached to that. There would be changes to the 2008 asylum law, which has made it so that these children from Central America are automatically put into the asylum process. That could be changed, or they could at least ask for that, and some other maybe border control and border security kinds of measures. So it's a little unclear now. Republicans have a little bit of space because, frankly, Democrats are a bit divided on what they want to do with this, and so they're sort of in a wait-and-see pattern, I think.
Yeah, what would be the problem, though, with altering the 2008 law? That passed on bipartisan lines at a time when there was just far fewer families trying to come over the border, and so there wasn't the kind of pressure we're seeing on the system.
Well, and the problem, though, that for progressives and members of, say, the Hispanic caucus have raised is that if you change that law, that means you're going to have these kids going home much more quickly. And they want to try to find ways to keep at least some of them in the country because they believe that the circumstances in which they're living in places like El Salvador or Honduras or in other parts of Central America are so bad that they deserve to get asylum in the United States. They don't want to see mass deportations of the children. And if they change the law, particularly if they make it maybe retroactive, we're going to see much quicker deportations, which is what the White House would like, frankly, and some of the moderate members of the Democratic Party would like, and Republicans are for. And so there is this battle going on sort of behind the scenes between Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, from a policy perspective, though, you're putting your finger on the most difficult part, which I actually don't think is very political. It's the fact that in an effort to do something good, and that original bill, as we know, is bipartisan because there was agreement that people who are genuinely eligible for asylum, who are in danger, who are minors, we have a heart for them. And yet, at an international level, it seems apparent that that has created some kind of incentive combined with rumors that has made the problem worse.
Yeah, that's right. I think, there is this long-standing tradition, frankly, with the coyotes that bring people up that they will say, oh, if you go at this certain time of the year or if you get in soon, you'll be able to stay no matter what. And certainly this law has, I think, probably contributed to that. Certainly some of the talk about the DACA and allowing the Dreamers to stay has fueled that. And whether or not it's true, it's sort of besides the point, frankly. They're saying this to these families. The families are desperate. They need to get their children out, they believe, because they're worried they're going to die. And so they hand them over to these coyotes.
Right. So on the politics, though, as you were saying here when we started, if there are literally no votes, that's got to hurt Republicans because they've made a big deal out of this.
Well, it depends, frankly. They're going to go into the August recess and start going to town halls. And if let's say they put out a proposal that requires a lot of new strengthening of border security and it changes that law, but it does have the funding in it, and they sort of kick it to the Senate, or they say, when we come back in September, we're going to vote on this. If they are able to take that to their voters, I think in a lot of their districts, they're going to have a lot of support for that. They're looking at their elections, which are different than the national election or statewide election. And I think for them, that could actually end up being a bonus, at least in this election cycle.
Right. You're saying that might help them in the short run and in some of these districts, and yet there is something so cynical about clamoring for the president to do a photo op immediately, ASAP, go to the border, and not doing your own job of holding some of these votes. John Stanton, Washington Bureau Chief for BuzzFeed, thanks for your time tonight.
Good to be here.